Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 357. Now, before I get into the real crazy reason why I have not actually been able to do a podcast for the last 6 months, or almost 6 months, which is ridiculous, right? It's been absolutely crazy for me. I'm going to get into the reasons behind that, and I put a post out onto my Facebook group and my Facebook page just checking in with everyone if everyone wanted a new podcast, and I got a ton of responses, and it was a yes, right? So here I am today to talk to you how to make powerful decisions. You see, when I put that post out, the first person who commented said yes, please, and or a little bit more than that, and they also asked, or then I asked back, well, since you're first one to comment, is there anything that you'd like me to speak about? And she went straight away, and this is Amy Lindsay, so great to have you, my friend. The whole question, or the topic that I really wanted covered in particular, was overwhelm in being pulled in many different directions. And also how to kind of like make decisions then, right? Because if we've got overwhelm and we cannot make the decision because we're pulled in these different directions, then of course, it really is something which I think will be very valuable for everyone. And that's what this podcast is. I really hope you've enjoyed my podcast, by the way. I'm not going to just quit it. I just wanted, as I said, get clearer with you later on as to the reasons behind it. But if you want to learn how to make decisions which reduces overwhelm, which causes you to really be congruent in where you're heading with your unconscious mind. Now, let me first just say, the decisions or the lack of decisions or the overwhelm, as Amy mentions, is going to be there potentially because of maybe a belief that we have about ourselves. So although what I'm going to be telling you today and teaching you today is how to make congruent decisions to reduce overwhelm, I do want you to realize, become conscious right now if there is something which is causing it. Let me tell you why. Let's just say, for example, someone had the belief or the feeling of, like the fear of failure, fear of success. Now, of course, that will be the decider of if you do something or you don't do something, if you feel overwhelmed or if you feel fear or anger or sadness or guilt or hurt or any emotion. So, number one, it's really important to get beyond the actual presenting issue, and this goes for everything. So many people get this wrong. They think that whatever they're experiencing is the real issue. That is not the case. It's really important to figure out what's behind that. And I'll get clearer of how you can do that soon if you really wanted to be able to truly understand the hidden reason as to why you're doing what you're doing and why the issue persists and keeps getting worse and worse. So that will be covered. That'll be something which might actually blow your mind. But before we get into that reason, I just wanted you to have that conscious awareness that the thing that you're feeling, the issue that you're experiencing, may not be the creator of your issues. It could be just simply a symptom, a byproduct of something else, which is going to be important for you to understand, to get clarity on, because once you let go of the core, you let go of everything, rather just working on symptoms. But anyway, we'll get there very soon. It kind of leads me into why I've been totally vacant when it comes to the podcasts. So let's kind of consider how we can make good decisions which will reduce overwhelm, which will allow you to feel very congruent. Now, this is going to be an interesting experience for you. It's something that you can do anytime, and it's something that I do all the time. Whenever I have a big deal going on or a big decision to make, wherever there's an opportunity for me, and it might look good on paper and might feel as if like, wow, anyone would jump at the chance to be able to take that opportunity, Joseph. It's not always the case. It's really important to check in with your unconscious mind to see if it truly resonates with you at a deep unconscious level. Because if we put it this way, if you logically decide upon something consciously, but your unconscious mind is holding these reservations, these fears, or these doubts, or these worries, or self-sabotaging mechanisms, even if you know logically this is what you want, your unconscious mind will take away that opportunity, self-sabotage you, or just put doubt in your mind because something is not being heard, which is your unconscious mind. If we think about everything that we experience, it's a signal. It's a signal from your system telling you to become aware of it. So for example, if you have migraines or if you have some physical symptoms, what are they? They're signals to tell you that something's not quite right and that you should pay attention to it. Now, if all you do is ignore it, try to battle through it, they may actually come back even worse. So it's really important to check in with your unconscious mind to figure out what it's really about. Now, I trust my unconscious mind because, as I said, I'm kind of clean and clear of limiting things which are getting in my way, which could have an effect, like the fear of success, fear of doubt. I used to experience them, but now I'm totally tuned in as to where I want to be. But I always kind of step into that checking of my unconscious mind. So this is what I want you to realize once again. Number one, is there something beneath the surface which is creating the signals or the symptoms of the overwhelm, like a limiting belief, like a limiting thought or a feeling which won't go away, and that is why we're feeling overwhelmed, and that is why we can't make decisions. You got to be clear on that. I will go ahead and tell you how to do that very soon. But let's just say you are pretty clean and clear as to who you are, where you're heading, and what you want. How do we actually make the decisions that are congruent with us at an unconscious level as well as a conscious? So that means we don't just consciously go about and self-sabotage ourselves later down the line. So here's what I want you to do. Whether you do this now or whether you do it in the moment, ideally try to do it now because we've got a good test right now to do. We've got an exercise that we can do. But if you don't, remember this. This is going to be very, very important for you whenever you make any decision which will reduce overwhelm, reduce doubt, and reduce being pulled in many different directions. So let's just go ahead and choose something. If not, imagine maybe a decision that you have to make where you're being pulled in more than one direction. Now, as you think about the opportunities, in other words, the different scenarios based on different choices you could make, I want you to think of just say the first opportunity. Now, you might know logically on paper it's great, but let's go ahead and check in. Here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, I want you to put your right hand right on your chest. So it's just above like the heart area. And just put it right there for a moment. Now, as you think of that opportunity or that potential that you have to make a decision going in down that route, just notice with your hand on your heart or the top of your chest if your body is moving forward or moving backwards. Those subtle ideomotor response signals from your body will give you a good indication if this is a good thing. This is pretty much your intuition, your gut feeling, if this is something that we should be going for. Now, if you move forward as you think about that opportunity, that is pretty much saying your unconscious mind thinks that this could be a good thing. Now, if you're going backwards, if you just notice your body moving backwards, whether you're sitting or standing, that you're going backwards, it means there's some reservations on that decision. You're not congruent in the decision that you could make going down that route, so therefore you may actually self-sabotage yourself or not perform, or maybe that is not the best decision for you. Now, if you cycle through to the opposite outcome, or the opposite opportunity, or the thing in terms of another direction you might want to go in, put your hand on your heart, close your eyes, think about that one, and notice if you're being pulled backwards or you're being pulled forwards. Typically, when you're moving forward, it will mean you are pretty congruent with making that decision down that route. Or if you're being pulled backwards, at the very least, there are some reservations or hesitations from your unconscious mind. Now, let me give you some clarity on this. It does not mean you should do one or the other. This is just your unconscious mind feeding back to you its thoughts or its unconscious feelings or your gut feeling intuition, if this is a good thing or not. Now, let's just go ahead and say that you are going backwards, so that would be a kind of hesitation, a lack of congruency at an unconscious level. What could that possibly mean? Now, it could mean that there's some fear or doubt. Is it real or is it illusionary? Is there a limiting belief? Is there something stopping you? Let's just consider this as becoming conscious of what your unconscious mind's doing. Usually we go throughout the world consciously and we just go for it, and then it doesn't always work that way. Now we're stepping into our unconscious, getting the feedback to see what this is really about. Let's not be judgmental that means, oh, we just better not do it. It could be the case, but not always. So ask yourself, when you begin to go backwards, if that is the case, ask yourself, what is that about? What is the hesitation there? What is the pulling back? And trust the answer which comes up, or the different answers. Is there fear? Is there scarcity? Are there doubts? Are there worries? Now, once again, we're becoming more conscious of the unconscious responses. Is it something that we can navigate through? Is it something that we can negotiate with your unconscious mind? That if it had something, it would actually allow you to be congruent. That way, if we can satisfy those reservations at an unconscious level, when you go for that goal, go for that thing, you will actually then be totally aligned and congruent in where you're heading and where you want to be. So really consider this exercise as an opportunity to check in with your unconscious mind. Then understand and see if it's something that you can negotiate. What is it really about? By asking that question. What is that pulling back about? Are there feelings? Are there thoughts? Are there limiting ideas or beliefs? That if you changed or transformed, would you be congruent? That way, if there were 5 possible scenarios, there could be some which are absolutely no-goes, but some which can be actually resolved and dissolved at an unconscious level, or some which you're totally aligned. Think of this as a way of checking in with your system, that once you do, you'll have more clarity as to why that incongruency is there, or where you're being pulled in different directions, and then you can start to deal with it. So what I want you to do is test that out. Well, like I said, all you have to do, it takes like 30 seconds. Think of say, for example, you're thinking about going on a trip or not going on a trip. You go ahead, think of going on a trip, close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and see if you go forward or backwards. Now think about not taking that opportunity. What happens? Is there forwards and backwards? It will give you an indication of what your unconscious mind is thinking or feeling or wondering, or any limitations around it that you can then get clear upon. Now with that in mind, let's just go ahead and imagine but there is something within you which is kind of more hidden, which is stopping that, like a limiting belief, which is then creating the overwhelm. That is, like I said, is something that you need to be really, really clear on. It's something that you got to kind of consider, work through, and it can take a long time for some people. I mean, there are very quick ways, but that is something that you should really at least acknowledge and think that, look, I need to really figure out what the root of that issue is. Now, if you do need help with that, there's a couple of things that you can do, which is like go to josephclough.info/power. That will tell you a great way of getting now to the root cause of your issue. Now, the other thing is, I just want to get into like why I've been away. And you might be thinking, well, Joseph, it's been a long time since you've done a podcast, like almost 6 months. And to be honest, I kind of owe you an apology about that. I mean, it's something that there was two parts to me. Like, one part is I felt like you received a lot of stuff, and the reviews of maybe the app or the podcast itself, it seemed like everyone was satisfied, and I didn't know that you really wanted more until last night. So it's always good to let me know, like, if this is something that you want me to keep doing, new podcasts, new hypnosis sessions, I'm happy to do that. All you have to do is leave a review on the podcast or the app, both if possible. And that means I just know that you're listening and you're ready and you want more. Now, the other reason is because over the last 6 months, I've been really working in a very particular way with a certain kind of set of individuals. It's been a crazy, crazy busy time for me. And what I'm doing is mainly working with two types of people in particular. Those who experience anxiety, worries, and doubts, and those who are entrepreneurs or business owners or therapists who want to be able to break through their limitations so they have the business or they have the health, the relationships that they want to really take their business to the next level, their practice to the next level. So they kind of fall into the same thing: worry, doubts, anxieties, fears, lack of belief in themselves, and things like that. And I've really been knuckling down beneath the surface, just serving those people. And of course, we have now developed the one system which will transform all of that. Now, the truth is, it's not actually hard to get that result. I mean, if you said to me, Joseph, well, I want to let go of anxiety, or I want to let go of self-doubt, I want to let go of a fear that I have about my potentiality, or a worry about my life and my health, relationships, career, business, or even things like money. It is really, really simple to do. Like, it is one of those things that I just know I can let go of very, very quickly. Now, of course, it is not for everyone. And by everyone, it means that you have to be the right kind of individual. So what I've been doing over the last longer than that, as late last year, is I devised a system which lets go of everything. Like, literally everything, every limitation, self-sabotage, worry, doubt, in every way within like 8 weeks or so. So if you are someone who wants to be able to get to that root cause, if you want to be able to let go of the real issue, which is stopping everything happen in your life in the positive, and you're suddenly and decidedly ready to let go and give up the issue 100 million %, then this is something that you may want to consider. And it doesn't mean it will happen still. But if you are tired of all the symptoms, the worry, the fears and doubts, waking up with that dread in the morning, fearing where the next bit of income's coming in, worrying about how to take your business to the next level, how to get the unstoppable mind, well, what I'm doing right now is I'm setting up an opportunity for some people, and all you have to do is go to josephclough.info/go, where we can get on the phone or online, and together on a one-on-one basis, we can get the real deep thing, the hidden thing, which is stopping everything, and then come up with the solution. That's pretty much it. That's what I've been doing. Getting on the phone, figuring out exactly what's happening. Really, I mean, I'm probably, and I don't mean this to sound egotistical, but I can get into the root cause of any issue, the deep hidden one, within like 30 minutes. Like, you may have seen many different kind of people before. I will find it in 30 minutes. I've been doing this for almost 18 years or 17 years, but be 18 years by the end of the year. I get it. We come up with a strategy and then we let it go. So that's what I've been doing. I do hope to do some more. I've actually done another podcast. I'm going to set it up to go out. But if you want to be able to get on the phone with me online as well, go to josephclough.info/go, G-O, josephclough.info/go, and then we'll figure exactly what's happening and make that change. Speak to you soon, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this episode of how to make congruent decisions to reduce and let go of overwhelm so you are truly tuned in, tapped in, and in alignment with where you really want to be going. Very, very simple, but very, very profound. I look forward to speaking to you on a future episode. So many thanks and goodbye.